The suns were burning high above the dusty alien marketplace. Heat waves danced on the stone ground, and the air smelled like metal, dry fruit, and sweat. Traders shouted, creatures argued, and poor ones sat in corners, silent, tired, and ignored. Among the crowd, a very thin alien girl walked barefoot. Her skin was pale purple, her hair tangled with dust. She looked no older than 8. Her clothes were torn rags, hanging from her small frame. In her shaking arms, she carried a bundle of cloth inside. A baby made small, soft cries. Her name was Luma, but no one here knew her name. To the others, she was just that orphan girl. Luma walked toward a wooden stall that had bottles of fresh white milk. She stopped. Her eyes stared at one bottle. Her lips were dry. She didn't blink. She didn't move. The alien shopkeeper noticed her. He had 3 eyes, a wide belly, and a cruel smile. "You again?" He barked. "You don't have money. Get away." But Luma stepped closer, carefully. Her voice was low, soft, but clear. "Just milk for my sister, please. I'll pay you back when I'm grown." The crowd around the stall heard her. Some laughed, some just watched. The shopkeeper laughed the loudest. "Pay me back?" he roared. "You won't live that long, rat." Luma didn't move. She didn't cry. Her baby sister whimpered in the cloth. The bottle of milk was still in front of her. From the other side of the market, a man watched. He was human-tall, covered in a long brown coat. With dust on his boots and a scar across his cheek, he stood silent. His eyes were hidden behind dark goggles, but his attention was on the girl. He didn't laugh like the others. He didn't speak. He stepped forward. "Give her the milk," the human said calmly. The shopkeeper blinked. "What?" "I'll pay for it," the human said. The crowd turned quiet. The shopkeeper slowly handed the bottle to Luma. Her hands shook. She took it like it was the most precious thing in the universe. She sat down right there and opened the cloth. The baby inside was smaller than expected, skinny, eyes sunken. But when the milk touched her lips, she drank fast, like her life depended on it. Luma smiled. It was small, soft, and full of love. The human watched her. He didn't say anything. But he didn't leave either. Some of the aliens whispered. Why did he help her? She's not worth anything. Just a waste of milk. The human looked at them, and just that was enough to make them turn away. He stepped closer to the girl. "Do you want food too?" he asked. Luma shook her head. "She needs it more." He looked down at her, this child who had nothing but still thought only of her sister. "What's your name?" he asked. Luma paused. I don't know." He nodded once. "Where are your parents?" They were taken," she whispered. "No one wanted us." The human bent down and handed her a small packet of soft bread. She hesitated, then took it. But instead of eating, she tore off a piece and placed it in her sister's mouth. "Do you have a place to stay?" he asked. She stood up slowly. "We do. It's safe." He didn't ask more. But as she turned and walked away, he followed quietly, like a shadow, down the broken street, past rusted doors and shattered windows. Luma moved through hidden paths. At last she lifted a piece of broken metal and crawled into a hole beneath a building. The human waited a moment, then followed from a distance. Inside was a small tunnel, dark, wet, and cold. Luma laid her sister on a piece of cloth and wrapped her tight. Then she sat beside her, rocking her gently. She whispered stories. Stories she had made up to help her sister sleep. Stories where they lived in a house with a roof, food, and a warm bed. The human stood just outside the entrance. His hand was tight on his belt, where a strange human-made device blinked with soft blue light. He turned and walked back into the marketplace. But in his mind, the girl's whisper stayed. "Just milk for my sister, please. I'll pay you back when I'm grown." The sun had begun to fall. Long shadows stretched across the cracked walls of the alien town. The human walked slowly, but his mind moved fast. He couldn't forget the girl's eyes, not the hunger, not the fear, but the hope that someone would listen to her tiny voice. That someone might care. He didn't even know her name yet. She was now burned into his memory, deeper than all the missions he had survived. The next morning, he returned to that same market. Same stall, but this time, he didn't look at the milk. He looked at the shopkeeper. How much to feed her for a month? The human asked. The shopkeeper blinked, confused. That little rat again? The human placed a heavy pouch of credits on the counter. That's not an answer. The shopkeeper grinned. You want to own her? No, the human said sharply. I want her alive. The laughter stopped. Everyone near heard it. The human added one more sentence, calm but cold. She's under my protection now. Meanwhile, in the dark tunnel, Luma opened her eyes. Her baby sister was asleep, skin less gray than before. The milk had helped, but the bottle was empty now. And there was nothing left to give. Luma crawled out quietly. She had learned to walk light, like a ghost. If they heard her, they might take her. Again, she returned to the back alleys of the market. But this time, something was strange. No one shouted at her. No one threw stones. In fact, the crowd moved aside when she passed. She didn't understand. Then she saw him, the human. He was sitting by a broken wall, a bag of food beside him. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just nodded. Come here, he said gently. Luma stopped, her fingers clenched. She had been tricked before. I don't want to take you, he said. I just want to give you food, for you and for your sister. She looked into his eyes, partly hidden under dark glasses, but his voice had no anger, no hunger, no lies. Slowly she walked forward. He opened the bag. Warm bread, clean water, a tiny bottle of milk. Luma didn't reach for it. She gets the milk, she said. Not me. The human tilted his head. I know, I watched you give her your share yesterday. She was surprised. You followed me? I had to make sure you were safe, he replied. She took the milk, then the bread, careful not to drop even a crumb. She turned to run, but the human spoke again. Where are your parents? He asked softly. They were taken. Labeled useless. They didn't fight back. He nodded slowly. What about others? Your people? They turned away. I'm just another orphan. Do you want to stay that way? Luma didn't answer. Later that evening, she sat beside her sister in the tunnel. The baby drank quietly, tiny fingers grabbing her arm. Luma watched, heart full but heavy. Outside, she heard footsteps. She tensed. A shadow stood near the tunnel. Entrance, she recognized the boots. The human. I brought you something, he said. He gently rolled a blanket toward her. For your sister. Nights are cold. Luma held the blanket close. It was soft, warmer than anything she had ever felt. She looked up at him. Why are you helping us? She asked. He didn't answer right away. Then finally he spoke. Because once, I was like you. Luma blinked. But you're strong. You wear armor. You have money. He shook his head. That came later. A human family found me. Gave me food, a bed, a chance to grow. She was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, if I grow up, I'll pay you back. I promise. The human gave the smallest smile. You already are, he said. You're still fighting. Back at his quarters, the man sat alone. His name was Reed. He had fought in wars across the galaxy. He had seen monsters, machines, entire cities fall. But the courage in that small alien girl? It shook him more than any battlefield. She didn't beg. She didn't steal. She didn't curse the world. She only wanted milk for someone else. He looked at a small datapad. A message blinked. Return to Earth sector, new mission assigned. He turned it off. He had already found his mission. Night fell heavy across the alien colony. The stars above were sharp and cold, like needles hanging in a black sky. In the broken tunnel under the old marketplace, the little alien girl sat curled with her baby sister. The blanket the human had given them now wrapped around both of them. Like a hug they had never known. She did not sleep. The baby did peaceful for once. But the girl, Luma, kept her eyes open, waiting, always listening, because safety never lasted. Long-haired footsteps not, heavy, careful, familiar. She froze. Then a low voice came from outside the tunnel. It's just me. The human, Luma, peeked out. He stood alone, carrying something in his hand, 2 metal canisters. Steam escaped the top. Warm food. I didn't think you'd come back, she whispered. I said I would, he replied. She crawled out. He handed her one of the canisters, soup, thick and rich with protein paste. She fed her sister first. Always her sister first, then. She ate slowly, like she didn't believe it was real. The human sat beside the tunnel entrance, not too close. He didn't ask questions until she spoke. I was born in a work camp, she said suddenly. He didn't interrupt. My mother worked in the mines. My father was a cleaner. One day, they were told they were not useful anymore. She stopped. Her hands tightened around the metal canister. They were taken, I don't know where. The human looked at her. You survived. Only because I ran. I took my sister before they could mark her. Mark her? She nodded. Babies who can't feed themselves are tagged as waste. The tag is red. It means they are not worth food. The human clenched his fist. Luma didn't cry. She had cried too many times. There were no more tears left. The human finally asked, why didn't anyone help you? She looked at him, confused. Help? There's no help here, he frowned. But you're kind. You're people. She shook her head. People here only care about the strong. If you can't work, you don't exist. Even kids like me are expected to earn scraps. If I don't, I'm chased away. You're just a child. She paused. Then said something he wasn't expecting. I'm not supposed to be a child. I'm supposed to be quiet, invisible, useful. He leaned back and looked up at the sky. He had been on many planets, seen many cruel systems. But this one, something about it made his blood boil. I could take you away, he offered, to a human outpost, somewhere safe. Luma shook her head. No one takes orphans like us. And if they do, they sell us. The human's voice turned sharp. I'm not one of them. She looked up at him for a long time. Her eyes narrowed. Not with anger, but with fear. I want to believe you, she whispered. But believing hurts. He sighed. Then, slowly, he removed a metal tag from around his neck. It was small, rectangular, and marked with symbols. See this? He said, this is my ID, Earthside Human Alliance. I was a captain, infantry. 12 years. He handed her the tag. She looked at it like it was a holy thing. Heavy, real, proof. You're not lying? She asked. He shook his head. I've seen war. I've lost friends. But I never saw anything worse than a child being ignored by the world. Luma returned the tag, her fingers brushing his. My name, she said softly, is Luma. He nodded. That's a good name. She smiled, just a little. Then, her voice turned quiet again. But I still can't leave. Not yet. Why? She looked into the dark of the tunnel. There's someone else. She helped me once. An old woman. She gave me a piece of bread when no one else did. She's still alive? Luma nodded. She hides in the junkyard. I haven't seen her in days. The human stood. Then tomorrow, he said, we'll find her. Luma looked surprised. We? Yes, he said. If you won't leave yet, then I'm staying. At least until you're ready. She stared at him, unsure. No one stays. I do. A long silence. Then she said, thank you. The human replied, you already paid me back. She tilted her head. How? You told me the truth. Asterisk, the night was too quiet, not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind that feels wrong. The kind that makes even insects hold their breath. Inside the broken tunnel, Luma gently rocked. Her baby sister. The human Reed sat outside, hidden by shadows, watching the alley with soldier eyes. He hadn't spoken in over an hour. He didn't move unless needed. He just listened. Something was coming. He could feel it. A sudden gust of wind swept through the alley, too cold for summer. Reed's hand went to the device at his belt, a compact scanner with thermal signals. Tapped once. Movement. 6 bodies. Fast. Armed. Closing in. Raiders. Not common thieves. These were the cleaners' rogue patrols hired by the Trade Council to clear out waste populations. Orphans, the sick, the old, anyone who couldn't pay taxes or bribes. Reed stood quickly and ducked behind a wall. Inside the tunnel, Luma whispered, "Something's wrong." Her baby sister whimpered softly. Then a loud stomp, followed by the sharp clack of metal boots. Voices. Alien, rough, cruel. "There's a scent here," one said. "Small ones." "Perfect for cages," growled another. Luma froze. She curled tighter around her sister. Suddenly, a bright light beamed into the tunnel. "There she is." Reed didn't wait. With one smooth motion, he activated his plasma baton, silent, glowing. Deadly. As the first raider reached toward the tunnel, Reed struck crack. The baton shattered the alien's helmet in one clean blow. "Back off," Reed said coldly. Another raider fired. Reed rolled aside, kicked the weapon out of his hand, and jabbed the baton into the raider's ribs. Sparks flew. Screams followed. Luma held her sister tighter, eyes wide with fear and awe. 3 more raiders rushed in from the side. Reed pulled out a small disc from his coat, pressed it. Flash grenade. Boom, but silent. The light burst blinded the raiders, but made no sound. A human invention. Designed for stealth missions, Reed took advantage of the chaos. He struck fast. No wasted motion. One by one, they fell, but one raider remained larger, smarter. He didn't fight. He pulled out a tracker drone. It flew up fast, buzzing toward the sky. If it escaped, the colony patrol would come. And next time, it wouldn't be 6 raiders. It would be 60. Reed ran after it, but he was too late. It was gone, inside the tunnel. Luma was shaking, not from fear, but from realization. They were no longer hidden. She looked at the human. "They'll come back," he nodded, "with more, soon." "We can't stay here." "No," he said, "you can't." She paused. "What about you?" "I'll handle them." She shook her head. "They'll kill you." He smiled slightly. "Let them try." Minutes later, Reed led her and the baby through back paths, quiet, careful. He had a plan now, and it didn't involve hiding. They reached an old transport station, mostly broken, full of rust and junk. But Reed opened a secret panel hidden under a collapsed bench. Inside, weapons, medical kits, dried food. A hover sled with stealth cloaking he had prepared. Just in case. Luma looked around, stunned. "Why do you have all this?" "I don't trust colonies like this," he replied. "They always collapse. Or turn cruel." He lifted the baby gently onto the hover sled and handed Luma a small device. "What is this?" "A distress beacon. Only humans can track it, if I fail." "Press this." Luma's hands trembled. "Fail?" Reed crouched. "They'll come. If I'm not back in 3 days, go to the hills. Humans will find you." "No," she said. "You have to. I'm not leaving you behind." He smiled. "You were born with nothing, yet here you are, still standing, still strong. Your life is more important than mine." She shook her head. "That's not true." But he had already turned, before leaving. He looked back once. "Do you still think believing hurts?" Luma swallowed hard. "Yes, but not as much as it used to." Reed nodded. "Good." Then he vanished into the night. Back in the alley, the shadows shifted again. The remaining raider captain sniffed the air. She's gone. Another alien. Asked, we follow? The captain smirked. No, we wait. She come back. They always come back. But he didn't know this girl was different. She had a human behind her now, and that changed everything. The gates of the human outpost opened slowly with a mechanical hiss. Luma stood silently beside Reed, her baby sister cradled in her arms. The hover sled behind them carried their few things, mostly just the warm blanket and the old soup container. She refused to throw away. The outpost was unlike anything Luma had seen. Clean walkways, tall walls, bright solar lights. Humans moved with purpose, but also with peace. No one shoved, no one screamed. No one kicked at the weak, but there were eyes on her. Watching, measuring, judging. As Reed led her inside, whispers followed them. Is that an alien child? She's just a stray. Why bring them here? Another mouth to feed. Luma kept her head low, but her ears caught every word. Her arms wrapped tighter around her sister. She had escaped the darkness, but had she truly entered the light? Reed stopped before a woman in a brown uniform. Her face was sharp, her hair tied back. She held a datapad. Commander Vale, Reed greeted. Reed, she nodded. You're late. He glanced at Luma. Found a detour. The commander looked down at the child. Then at the baby. You know the rules, she said. This isn't a shelter. It's a survival colony. She's stronger than most adults here. Reed said firmly. She survived on her own in the worst part of the colony. Kept a baby alive. Escaped a raid. Vale raised an eyebrow. And what happens when she becomes a burden? Reed's voice didn't waver. She won't. They were taken to a small corner room, bare walls, metal bunks, a warm lamp. To Luma, it was the most beautiful place in the universe. She placed her baby sister on the cot and sat beside her. For the first time, her shoulders relaxed, but not for long. The next morning, she woke to loud knocking. 3 young humans stood at the door. Teenagers, soldiers in training. You don't belong here. One said, you're not even human. Luma didn't answer. Another sneered. You're lucky he protects you. Without him, you'd be back in the sewer where you belong. They threw something at her feet. A piece of rotten fruit. Earn your food, the tallest one hissed, or we'll take it back. They left laughing. Luma picked up the fruit, but didn't cry. She just sat quietly, thinking. Later that day, she walked into the kitchen area. It was full of people. Humans eating, laughing, cleaning dishes. She walked to the older woman cooking at the back. Can I help? Luma asked. The woman looked down. You want food? No, I want to work, to earn it. The woman paused. Then nodded. Wash these bowls. Don't break them. And so it began. Every day, Luma helped in the kitchen. In the gardens, cleaning floors. Carrying water for the medics. People still stared, but they stared differently now. And every night, she returned to the room, fed her sister, and whispered stories. One evening, Commander Vale watched her from across the courtyard. Reed stood beside her. She doesn't stop, Vale said. Even when no one asks. She remembers what it feels like to be invisible, Reed replied. Still, others complain. They say she's stealing sympathy. Reed crossed his arms. Let them. One day they'll thank her. That day came sooner than anyone expected. One of the food storage tanks malfunctioned. Water sprayed everywhere. Food supplies at risk. Most workers froze. But Luma? She jumped into action, sealing the lower valve with her own body, her tiny frame holding back the flood until help arrived. She was soaked, cold, bruised, but the food was saved, and the people saw her differently that day. At dinner that night, someone placed a tray of food in front of her, extra portions. She looked up. It was the same teen who once threw fruit at her. He didn't say anything, just nodded once and walked away. Later, as she tucked in her sister, Reed stood at the doorway. "You've changed this place," he said. Luma looked up. "I didn't mean to." "I know," he smiled. "That's why it worked." Asterisk. The human outpost had never held a council for a child. But that night, they did. In the main hall, under the cold lights and between steel walls, 12 humans sat at a long table. Soldiers, engineers, medics, and Commander Vale at the head. Before them stood Luma. Small, pale, her baby sister wrapped in a scarf against her chest. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stood straight, quiet, brave. Reed sat behind her, silent, but his eyes burned. The whispers had returned. "She doesn't belong here. More mouths to feed. She's not even one of us. Double quotes. Commander Vale raised her hand. The room fell silent. "This is not about emotion," she said. "This is about policy, survival. We need to decide, can she stay permanently, or is she to be sent away?" A murmur ran through the hall. Luma spoke. "If I go, I won't beg," she said. "But my sister will die." Her voice was steady, but soft. "She's just a baby. She never did anything wrong." A man stood up. He wore mechanic's gear, arms crossed. "She's brave. I saw her seal the broken pipe, risked herself." Another councilwoman interrupted. "But she's not human. What happens when resources grow thin?" "She works harder than half our staff," someone else added. "She doesn't complain. Not even once." A young woman near the end said gently, "Her sister smiled at me today. The baby's alive because of her." But then, another voice, louder, colder, one of the trainers. A man who had opposed Luma since day one. "She's still an alien," he said. "That child may be a threat later. We can't raise someone who may turn against us." Reed stood up. "She didn't ask for food. She asked for milk." The trainer replied, "Today she's small. Tomorrow who knows what she becomes." Reed walked to the front. "I've served in 10 sectors. I've seen people beg for weapons, beg for power. She begged for milk for her sister. That's not weakness, that's character." Luma stepped forward. "I don't need anyone to defend me," she said softly. "I clean, I help, I work. I learn. I don't want to be anyone's problem. I just want to grow and pay back the kindness I was shown." She paused, looked around the room. "I know I look different, but I feel the same things." The room went still. At that moment, a small sound broke the silence. Thank. It was the baby. Soft, slurred, but real. Her first word. Thank. The baby reached out from Luma's scarf and touched her sister's face. Gasps spread through the hall. Reed smiled gently. Vale looked stunned. The youngest councilwoman stood up, her voice trembling. "She speaks gratitude before hunger. Just like her sister." Commander Vale stood, eyes sweeping the room. "All those in favor of keeping them?" Hands raised, one by one, until unanimous. Luma didn't cry, but she closed her eyes. And for the first time in her life, she felt something. She didn't understand. Not fear, not pain. Belonging. That night, the outpost kitchen was warmer. Luma helped serve food. Her sister was passed around, kissed on the cheek by the old nurse, tickled by the mechanic. The same people who once whispered now laughed softly when she walked past. And Reed? He stood quietly near the back watching the girl who had changed. A colony without lifting a weapon. Vale came to him. "You were right," she said. "She didn't just earn her place, she reminded us who we're supposed to be." Reed nodded once. "She saved more than just her sister." As the stars blinked outside, Luma tucked her baby sister into bed, whispered a story, and looked out the small window at the sky. She thought about her parents. She thought about the sewer. She thought about the milk. Then she whispered to herself, "I'll pay them all back when I'm grown." And she meant it. 3 cycles passed. Seasons changed. Stars shifted. And inside the walls of the human outpost, Luma grew. Not just taller. Not just stronger. She grew wiser. She no longer walked with her head down. She walked with purpose, carrying tools, carrying books, carrying her little sister. She wasn't just the alien girl who begged for milk. Now, she was one of them. Her sister, now walking and giggling, ran through the courtyard each morning, arms wide like she could fly. The others called her Starbug, because she always chased the sky. People who once looked away now stopped to greet Luma. Need help with the tools? Can you show the new ones how to plant? Could your sister help in the nursery? Today, she helped without question. She smiled more often. But she never forgot. One evening, Luma sat under the tower light. Her baby sister, now a chubby toddler, curled beside her asleep. Reed sat nearby, sipping from a metal cup. His coat was older now, his face more lined, but his eyes still watched the world carefully. He looked at her and said, "You never stopped." She tilted her head. Stopped what? Working, helping, becoming more. Luma looked down at her hands. "I made a promise," she whispered. "To who?" She smiled. "To you and to her." Later that night, the outpost held a quiet gathering. Commander Vale had called it a transition meeting. A new structure was being formed. Not just soldiers and workers, but leaders. And Vale had a list of names to nominate. When she read aloud, she paused at one name, Luma. The room murmured. Vale continued. "She will take over as youth coordinator. She will guide new arrivals, especially orphaned or abandoned young. She's already been doing the work. We're just giving her the title." Someone clapped, then more joined in. Reed smiled quietly from the corner. After the meeting, Luma walked back to her room with her sister in her arms. The stars above blinked softly. She sat by the window and pulled out an old, crumpled scarf. It still smelled faintly of smoke and dirt, remnants of the tunnel days. She held it close. "Do you remember this?" she asked her sister. The toddler mumbled in her sleep, "Milk." Luma laughed softly. "Yes, milk." She looked up. "I said I'd pay them back when I'm grown. But maybe I don't need to wait anymore." The next morning, she walked into the old storage shed with a datapad in hand. A human engineer turned. "Need something?" "I want to build something," Luma said. He raised an eyebrow. "What kind of something?" "A learning center. For orphans, for anyone who comes here with nothing." He nodded slowly. "Big dream," Luma smiled. "Good. Big dreams are hard to throw away." Over the next few weeks, people helped her, even those who once avoided her name. Together, they painted walls, built shelves, brought books, toys, food packs. And at the entrance, Luma carved the words herself. "This place exists because someone gave me milk when no one else would." And beneath that, kindness repays itself, over and over. Reed visited the new center on its opening day. Children played. Some cried. Some cried. All were safe. He stood at the door for a long moment. Luma walked over. "You're leaving." "Aren't you?" Reed nodded. "Another colony, more trouble." "I'm still useful," she smiled. "You're always useful." He paused. "Are you scared?" "Without me around?" She shook her head. "You taught me enough. Now, I teach others." He handed her a new datapad, sleek, silver, Earth-issued. "This is yours now, my contact. My records, my name." She took it with both hands. "I'll make you proud. You already have," he said. Then he turned and walked into the rising sun. Luma stood in the doorway, her sister tugging at her leg. She looked down and whispered, more to herself than anyone else, "I'll keep paying it back forever."